Backwards compatibility. It's like an enigma. Nobody seems to want it, but everybody seems to talk about it. But if it's on the rival system, then it really isn't worth the effort at all. Yes, backwards compatibility from Xbox One, or at least Microsoft, has been the talking point of the Xbox One X over the last year, much more so, in fact, than many of the titles that have launched on it. One of the things that they're working heavily on is improving the titles over and above what you got on the 360 and the standard Xbox One, or the Xbox One S here. But what does that mean in practice? Well, it means an improvement of a considerable leap over what we saw on the standard machine. Now here in The Witcher 2 on the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One or the Xbox One S, we see a resolution of 1280 width by around 670 height. So that's the overall image quality you're getting on the 360 and the One and the One S. But on the Xbox One X, this is 3 times each axis of resolution. So you now see a full 3840, what you get on a 4K screen, and a 2011 height, just short of the 2160 you would get, but that's 3 times the 670 height we're seeing on the native machine. This means you get much clearer image quality and much less shimmer, and in addition to the enhancement to the texture filtering, you're looking at a substantial improvement on image quality and textures. This also means that all the lower quality textures haven't been improved at all, therefore you can see some of the weaknesses and areas in the title, but everything is improved. One of the biggest advantages you'll see here is to shadow quality. All the shimmering and movement and dithering you see in regular parts of the cutscenes and in-game on the 360 and the One are completely removed. Look at the background here as I circle in the cutscene. All that movement and shimmering from the pixel resolution is gone. Now a very stable and clean shadow map is left in its place. And to close the deal off, you're also left with an improvement to alpha effects or alpha buffers, which obviously is improved by the same 3 times each axis as the standard buffer. This obviously isn't the same resolution as that though, it's obviously half resolution or quarter resolution, which is used in many titles, but it's still a welcome improvement, and you're left with a much better looking and sharper looking title. This all comes from the backwards compatibility driver level and has not been touched by the developer themselves, and it is a substantial improvement. This also means that the depth of field pass is also increased, therefore it doesn't work as effective because it's running at 3 times the resolution on each axis, but that is the downside of improving the overall output buffers. You can always jump into the options on the Xbox One X as well and choose between graphics mode and performance mode, but there's no point because it doesn't unlock the frame rate, it just targets all that performance from the GPU to push the performance higher and dropping it down to the standard resolution you see here on the 360 and the One. So I would advise not doing that. So you're getting an improvement on the visual quality overall. You also get the improvement on loading times, which you can see the samples here, improved on the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X because it can load these things into RAM and use it basically as a dedicated hard drive, an SSHD of epic proportions, so to speak. So the final part of the package is performance. Like I say, this is still a 30 FPS title, but like all backwards compatibility games, this means VSync is now fully engaged. On the 360 this wasn't, and you had an adaptive VSync running on the title, which left you with a game that tore and ripped itself up quite regularly during action and cutscenes. It still holds above the 25 FPS most of the time, but it can dip down that low, and when it does, it tends to tear itself to shreds. Now this can happen at any height across the screen, but you are looking at moments where HDR bloom, heavy alpha effects, or just lots of geometry on screen. This is a heavy title, pushing the engine on the Xbox 360 quite hard considering what it came from on the PC version. It is a very impressive port, and the performance on the whole is pretty good, but don't expect a lock solid 30. And you are nearly there on the Xbox One S. It's very close, drops around 10 frames from all my tested sections here, but again with no tearing, which is a welcome boost. Even if you don't get all the improvements to texture quality, shadows and filtering like we've just mentioned, it is the same visual package as the 360 itself. But the X wins out as always, as you would expect here, running at nearly native 4K, give or take a few pixels that no one's going to argue you with. You're looking at a game that holds on to 30 FPS pretty much all the time. Yes, many people may say, but you can run it at 60 FPS on a PC. Of course you can. That's the option. Go buy it on the PC. If you've got a PC, buy it, play it on that. It's the best place to play it. Of course it is. But the point of this is to play your old games better on the machine you own, and if you own an Xbox 360 and want to upgrade to an Xbox One, then the X is the best place to play it. If you've got an Xbox One, then you can upgrade to the X, and it's still the best place to play it, but you don't see performance on this title. Doesn't mean you can't though. I've already covered quite a few titles in backwards compatibility and on the standard Xbox One itself that see significant improvements on the performance rate, such as BioShock Infinite, which I covered recently in my backwards compatibility coverage. Anyway, this is a brief look at The Witcher 2. It may not be Geralt's finest hour, but it's certainly worth a look if you can pick it up for around £2 to £3 or even free online, which is where I got it from on my Xbox Gold subscription. So anyway, I hope you guys and girls enjoyed this. If you did, like, subscribe and share where appropriate. I'm out, but I'll leave you with a few more minutes of action if you want to see just how those frame counters tick. Leave a like below, and also you can support me on Patreon and maybe buy me a drink if you like the kind of work that I put together. But for now, it's au revoir.